IT guys, what weird NSFW shit have you found on employee's laptop desktop? Found a bunch of incest porn on a friend's dad's computer he wanted me to fix. This was in the early zeros, so it didn't have the weird memedom status it does now. Was it his family? I didn't want to venture into the folder to find out. So the folder was labeled incest porn? No, it had a title like he downloaded the whole thing from Kazoo or Morpheus. Maybe he just wanted to download a great album but instead got a great album of incest porn. I'm not gonna lie and try and convince you that I didn't discover Heather Harmon mislabeled as an anime music video. Incest porn is a pretty common theme. I'm a 90s teen, so most of my early porn was VHS tapes. Lot of it there as well. Like, between your parents, and the tape was found by you? No, tapes got around. Shit was traded. The Pornhub of the day were compilation tapes. They were just the sex scenes and maybe few minutes of the setup. I would say between 15 and 25% had a line like "but you my uncle," or "what if mom sees," etc. So you'd have a 4 to 8 hour tape, you'd get a decent number of incest scenes on it. Yeah, in the 90s it was all about tape trading or woods porn. I swear people think porn didn't exist before the internet. Woods porn? Yup, woods porn. Random pornography found in the woods, usually left by hunters, it happens. Man, the 90s sound wild. I'll also add, while porn is a young woman's game, that doesn't hold true for the men. For guys, they can stay in the industry 20, 30 years. The stepdad, uncle, dad routine is a quick, fast way to explain why the grey grizzled dude is railing a 19-year-old. I used to have a folder on my desktop labeled dirty pics, and it was just pictures that I needed to take for my job. It's hard to explain why I found this so funny to someone that doesn't do my job, but I'm an equipment tech in the semiconductor industry, and it's pretty common that I'll have to find out why there are particles in our product computer chips. So I'll often find a machine that's dirty and take pictures and send out a communication. I was always hoping that an IT person would see it, then open it and laugh. I renamed it when I realized I would only know about it if they only saw the name and contacted HR. When I was military, I got called into a higher-up's office to work on his computer. I was clicking around and right on the desktop I saw a folder labeled rape videos. Me. MSGT. WTF is this? MSGT. Oh, that's the SAPR. Sexual Assault Prevention and Reporting. Class next week. Me. Can you name it something happier? I just feel that this will get flagged. MSGT. Yeah, alright. I see your point. Yeah, that seems like a really poor decision. Pedo porn, but not 2 or 3 pictures, like a 60 GB folder in his session. Reported it to HR. He got arrested. How I found out. Why the fuck one random was close to the quote on the server and why it was only from one folder. Usually users on RDS don't have many private files on their sessions. I've never found CP on the job, but I did get contacted by a mother. Someone contacted her anonymously to tell her that they had found pictures of her young daughter online. While she didn't know who this anonymous person was, she was able to determine that the email she received came from a computer on our network. I handed it off to the lawyers and never heard about it again. Why is it these guys always have like tens of gigs of CP, if not hundreds? The most I ever had was like 5 gigs. Edit. To be absolutely clear, I've only ever had legal 18+ porn. Never CP. And I never had a bunch of it either. Made me laugh. Boy, it was awkward. Particularly the moment you have to take screenshots of everything for police evidence. I screenshotted the folder. Not every photo. You wake up one morning, and after a coffee you are reporting the nice guy Bob who had fucking millions photos of kids' nude sex tapes. I saw the pictures, videos. Boss gave me 1 free week vacations, otherwise I'd just call in sick. Oh man. I'm sorry you had to see all of that. I also feel sorry for all of the kids that are subjected to that kind of abuse. I'm happy you reported the creep. I've always wondered if someone had to end up reviewing those folders as evidence. That's really gotta mess a person up. It'd be so depressed I might even consider quitting. Access. My guess, once they find a source they know there is a high chance it's going to go away, so they snag as much as they can. I hope this is a poorly worded joke. Oh god. I meant the most porn I ever filed was 5 gigs, not CP. Goddamn. Almost ended up on a watch list there, buddy. Because they save everything they can get their hands on since it's hard to get into legal. Hold TF up, you ain't coming back from that. Please? Yep, we had one like that as well. Guy calls us saying that he can't use an application. Turned out it was because of the hard drive being full. My tech starts investigating with a tool that lists what's using the space, and bam, finds the secret stuff folder that's 200 plus GB of space used. He investigates and finds CP. He calls me in because he didn't know what to do. 3 phone calls later, our SVP of marketing was being hustled out the door by the police. Then we needed to document what was there for the police. Ugh. Do these people not have their own computers? I have a lot of porn saved, but it's definitely not on work's computer. Years ago I was called into a remote office to find out why all the server space was used up on a local file server where every user was given a folder. Turns out he was storing gigs and gigs of porn on his server drive. I wrote him an email about it and his response was something along the lines of he was having some personal issues and did it just that one time. I just deleted it, didn't report him, and moved on. You're a good man. I found a coworker's furry porn folder. I don't want to talk about it anymore. I don't want to talk about it anymore. Anymore implies there was a time you wanted to talk about it. Op gets visibly uncomfortable. Yeah, when Op started typing the post. Oh. Condolences. Condolences. Ow, what's this? Number. Please stop. One of the employees was terminated for a non-IT related reason, and he was supposed to return his laptop. HR kept contacting him about returning the laptop or else he would be financially liable. After about a month, he finally returned the laptop and I was set to re-image it, but the hard drive was missing. I reported it to HR, who then called the guy to ask about the hard drive. He said it was damaged, so he removed it. After pressing him even harder, including threatening legal action due to company info being on the drive, the guy finally returned the hard drive, beating to shit. At this point, they just let it go. He just became a joke around the office. There's no telling what was on the hard drive, but it must have been something terrible. Funny thing is, we have a system that automatically re-images the hard drive without checking it. No one would ever have seen or suspected anything, had he just turned the laptop in to begin with. I think he may have been a pedo. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what happened. I try not to think of it because I knew the guy pretty well. It's really sad. Back in the early days of the internet, the computers at my then workplace weren't directly connected to the internet. I had some kind of responsibility for the proxy that everyone used to access the web. It logged all access URLs, but it was mostly boring, everyday stuff. One time I was looking through the logs for some kind of problem, and found that one user had looked at a lot of midget porn. Luckily it wasn't someone at my location, so I never had to look him in the eye. One user had looked at a lot of midget porn. Luckily it wasn't someone at my location, so I never had to look him in the eye. Looking down on him. I never had to look him in the eye. If you could, he probably wasn't interested. Child porn. Reported to the FBI. I've had 2 different instances. First was in my first IT job. We were upgrading PCs. Found a user whose My Pictures folder was over 10 gigabytes. My manager told me to take a look to find out if the user had been storing personal pictures on the device, which he had. First folder that came up was naked images of her in the bath. Awkward. And X200B. Second was worse. HR user shared laptop for taking minutes. It was getting slow, so manager again asked me to check it. Once again, user had been backing up phone pics, and found explicit photos of the HR manager, and X200B. Not fun when she was old and unattractive. When I was around 15 I had a Saturday job at a computer shop working with the full-time IT guy. This customer was a roadie and did like porn, which we knew, and he offered us full access to his collection while we fixed his computer. What we actually found was a video of him smoking crack and banging a hooker. LOL, still porn though. Female co-worker had half-naked pics of David Hasselhoff from his Baywatch days and some from his German singing days as her desktop wallpaper. Oh, God. Was it the one with the Shar-Pei dog blocking his junk? Co-worker and I used to trade off making that the other one's desktop wallpaper whenever we leave our computers unlocked. The most memorable one was David in a black string man thong with sparkles in the background. Too funny. I worked with a guy who liked doing that. He and I would always switch the desktop to the Horf, both the Sharpay and outtakes from him drunkenly eating a burger were go to wallpapers. D. This actually happened in 8th grade, but similar setup. I was sitting next to a guy who was known for really being into anime and trading cars. One day accidentally overheard him talking to other classmate about how horny the characters from Pokemon were. Being an 8th grader, I just dismissed it as guys talking dumb stuff. But that same day, at the corner of my eye I see my deskmate unfolding a piece of paper under his desk. I only turned around to look for a split second, but I did saw that he clearly had a hentai photo of Professor Ivy, from the Orange Islands if you can remember that, with her legs open and wearing nothing under her lab coat. I turned back to my stuff lighting fast, and never asked him anything about the issue. He left by the end of that school year, so I guess he eventually got caught. Edit. If we're talking about actual IT stuff, let's just say my office banned YouTube for a year after a review on everyone's search history came full with cat videos. I used to manage the POS systems for a nationwide retailer. They were a specialty store and had a kiosk computer on the floor for customers to look up parts. We had software to immediately remote onto any computer in the company, and on more than one occasion jumped on to find Pornhub streaming on the floor for all the customers to watch. These were franchise stores and there were typically major repercussions for the franchisees who allowed this stuff to happen. I found a memory stick left in a computer at school. I didn't know whose it was, so I looked in the homework folder. The kid had almost a GB of porn in there, back in the days when a 2GB stick was as good as it got. I hope he learned how to name his porn folders. I think he works in IT. I've been in IT for over 20 years now. I've found a few different things, both helping friends and clients. From a small rural town. In high school, found out a good friend of mine was gay by finding his porn stash when fixing his computer. I never let him know I found it and didn't tell anyone. He came out in his own time, has a nice husband and a happy life. In college I did house calls, went to a house call at a trailer. This is back in the old Yahoo chat room days. Well, the lady I was helping needed help uploading really explicit pictures of herself for her NSFW chat rooms. Could have been hot, but she was in her 60s and not attractive at all. I played it cool, got her pictures uploaded, taught her some stuff on basic computer maintenance stuff and wished her the best. Most awkward $40 I ever made. Was fixing a friend's computer a couple years back, and right in her recent pictures on her start menu was pictures and videos and stuff of her messing around with some dudes, normal sex, BJs, stuff like that. The really awkward part was that she was just starting a divorce with her husband, mutual friends, and I'm pretty sure a number of those pictures were before the divorce started. The husband already knew she had cheated, but I didn't think he needed to know I had graphic details. So, fixed her PC, gave it back to her and played it cool. I don't know, when you are fixing someone's personal shit and find stuff you aren't supposed to see, I just think it's respectful to just move along. People are complicated and everyone is a little fucked up, so I find it's just best to roll with it. I'd suspect that's just part of the job if you're fixing personal electronics. Not IT, but in 2005 I moved out of my mom's house and she immediately married this arsehole small town cop. I needed to use a computer, so I went to her house while everyone was out of the house and stumbled onto so much bestiality and grandma teenage boy porn. It grossed me out, but I definitely made fun of him to my closest friends. My mom died a couple months later and I heard from my mom's friend that the cop was pressuring my mom to do some weird ass shit. I never heard what it was exactly, but my mom was super kinky to begin with, so it must have been something pretty bad. But my mom was super kinky to begin with. Woof, not me, but a friend was tasked to recover data from his gay boss's laptop. He found self-made porn of the boss with the boyfriend, lol. I manage 50 computers and 350 iPads, iPhones. It's not uncommon for a supervisor to ask me to go through a device when someone is termed. Emails, pics, anything that could be related to jobs being worked on. Imagine my surprise when I open the photos up to see some dude's wife with a mouthful of cock, or his girl laying on the bed, legs spread. I've seen a lot. To be clear, good IT people don't snoop around on your computer. It's considered super unethical, and if I ever found out one of my people were doing that, they'd be reprimanded at the least. However, you do run into situations The porn addict. I had a repeat customer that would load his computer up with viruses, malware, and about every 3 months bring it in to be cleaned. It took ages to transfer his data because he had a 100 GB collection of carefully categorized porn, and this is pre-SATA days, so the transfer would take hours. One day he brought it in. I opened up a browser to attempt to download some malware cleaner in the hope of not reformatting. His homepage was MySpace, and it opened up to the account of a 16-year-old girl. This man had no children. He had set up a MySpace page, put some girl's photo as the profile, then wrote dozens of sexual blog posts on her homepage. She was friends with a lot of teenage boys in the area. I told my boss that either we fired him as a customer, or I was calling the police. To make things worse, he was a prominent member of our community and had served on our hospital board for years. The realtor brought her laptop in for something and dropped it off. I plugged it in and powered it up. Desktop wallpaper was a picture of her, completely nude and spread eagle on her bed. Normally after I fixed her PC I would leave it on to demonstrate to the customer it was working. With that one I just handed it back to her in the bag. Adolf, this one is just a little odd. Sometimes I have to ask users their password if I'm going to be fixing their computer while they're away. One particular unsuspecting co-worker told me their password was Hitler88. Haven't looked at him the same since. The Russian one of my old bosses complained that his computer was acting funny. Long story short, it turned out someone had been RDPing into his computer from an IP address geolocated to Russia. The hacker had even created their own Windows profile. In the hacker profile, the only thing they had downloaded to the desktop were lots of pictures of US money and bikini-clad Russian models. I have a few. I once found very intimate photos of an employee that were taken in the bathroom of her department, in a user's folder of a completely different department. There was a little fraternizing going on, and for some reason, these photos were stored on the file server. And X200B once had a user ask me to look at something on her personal computer. She was cool, so I said sure. Ended up not needing to do anything as she remembered the password and that was all she needed. She had a folder on the desktop titled boobs, which was before, during and after her augmentation. And X200B. Another instance of fraternizing was with a current employee and a former employee. Current employee was getting a reimage, and photos of his ex-wife former employee were found. Former employee ended up marrying a friend of mine. To this day, I have not told him about those pics, and they were graphic to say the least. And X200B. Lastly, my manager asked me to take a look into a specific folder of a user, not at my location. I didn't, being it was going over MPLS. It was taking a while, so I left to tend to something. Upon returning, it's a good thing no one was in the hall behind me. Extremely graphic photos of a user's companions from his travels abroad, I assume, showed manager what was in the folder. He asked me to probe some other folders, but everything was clean. Through all of that, the user was not terminated over this, though the user was later terminated. I do not know what ultimately was the cause. Every time someone takes one of the work laptops, they cover the webcam up with tape and paper. To be honest, that makes me more suspicious than just having a folder called titties in plain view. I judge you less, that's for sure. And this isn't like one or two people. This is several different people in different circles. I do this with all of my laptops. I have nothing to hide. Don't think there's much of a chance that anybody would be having my camera anyway, but I just don't like the idea that it's even possible. I don't know. I don't like having a camera staring at my face, so I just put the sticky bit of a post-it over it if it doesn't have a shutter. I didn't really get what's so strange about that. Do you do that to the camera on your phone? I don't care what you do, but take it off before you bring it back. That just looks suspicious as hell. My company is known for spying on employees, so everyone does it here as well. Zero trust. That makes more sense and is at least reasonable. The only thing we have on these is a set of firewall rules and encrypted login to a FortiGate. We could access the camera on employee phones, but I can't think of a reason to ever need to. There's also a number of remote access Trojans that were able to turn on the cameras without lighting up the LED that tells you it's recording. Covering up the camera is a pretty basic OPSEC recommendation given in security awareness presentations. We could access the camera, and that's why they cover it. Yup, I do. As I said, I don't like a camera staring at my face. And I do have my own work laptop that only I use, so I just keep it on there instead of reapplying it all the time. I cover my webcam and my front-facing camera on my phone with paper tape. I just don't want some random app or person to access my cameras. I walk around in my underwear sometimes, especially after showers. Strangers don't need to see that. I don't do anything gross. I just don't want strangers to see me in my underwear. I'm sure a lot of people do this for similar reasons. I don't see it as being suspicious behavior. I'm not talking about your personal device. Big difference with company property that is locked down anyway. You guys are talking about shit you probably actually bait on. It's still a little strange that you would have something covering your camera. Just sounds like Big Brother paranoia. No one cares what you do when you shit, and they can get way more data on you from your mic. I'm not an inherently paranoid person. However, I do have some hacker acquaintances who have told me how easy it is and how often cameras are hacked. I'm a better safe than sorry kind of person. Also, there are some weird people in this world who pay to watch people shit. What are they getting from your camera? Your face while you shit or the inside of your pocket? Anyone that is going to take the time to hijack a camera doesn't care about average people. That isn't lucrative data at all. Some scammers use screen caps of people's faces to use on fake profiles. I don't want to be a scammer's face. Some apps that don't require a camera or mic to use it, will try and access them anyway. I had it happen with a news app once. No idea why. Here's a somewhat older article on the issue. https://www.feedlantic.com/archive/2014/12/the-webcam-hacking-epidemic/38998/right-square-open-bracket-http://the-webcam-hacking-epidemic/300 There is, a subculture of hackers who got off on the power trip of being able to view what compromised users' webcams were seeing. There were a few higher profile instances where compromising pictures were spread on the internet. At any rate, blocking the camera is still something I do, work or personal device. I have nothing to hide and nothing to share with you. I get that. In the other hand, make them pay for spying by always pointing the camera at your balls. Haha, I don't have balls. Well damn. Now I look like an idiot lol. No worries, haha. Get a picture of someone else's balls. Problem solved. That's because they don't want you to spy on them. It's because of stuff like this. https://www.nbc-for-the-delphia.com/news/local/school-spies-on-dash-with-webcams-suit-8t-home-with-webcams-suit-8 Back when I had jobs where I had access looked on others' computers. Very little. I kept looking and looking but was continually disappointed. My brother asked me to fix his computer and I found a bunch of pictures of naked pregnant women in his downloads folder. Dungeon porn. And dragons? Minecraft. Deep breath. Over 90 hours of Rule 34 shit on Pornhub. I hope to God he just started it, then left it going idly as a prank. 3 months ago, a friend asked me for help to basically check the Mac as he is clueless on Macs. He told me the laptop is running slow and the client wanted to speed it. Hopped onto it, and found 2 folders named X and Y. My first thought went, math teacher perhaps. X was pirated movies from God knows where, Y is porn. What kind of porn? Well, hardcore, old people, ebony, and one specific 1-hour video of pure compilations of God knows what. Wanted to die after along with 674 viruses with 52 gigabytes left as storage. Not IT, but I had to retrieve data from the laptop of an employee who abruptly quit. I sent her a text explaining what I needed and if she could help me find it quicker. She gave me the file location, then hesitated and asked if I'd just delete her entire music folder when I finished. Opened it before deleting and she had downloaded tons of podcasts that were about swinging, threesomes, BDSM. I had always thought she was just listening to music when she had her earbuds in. I work in IT, but this is my brother's story. The school I did IT training at makes you do an internship at the end. We did hours at a college where my brother works, and on occasion they will directly hire if there is a position. Since my brother already works in IT there, they couldn't hire me since they have a policy family can't work in the same department, but they hired my friend. Side note, my friend ended up hooking up with the girl who handled financing for the school we attended, and he eventually married her. Fast forward a few years and this guy has worked his way up to help desk manager. At some point the CTO is getting complaints from parents of students who say their issues are not being addressed. They have my brother look into the matter and he finds that my friend had been deleting and closing tickets with no resolution. They fire him and now my brother has to go through the guy's laptop and back everything up. He sees a folder on the desktop called Do Not Open, so naturally he does and finds pictures and videos from my friend's honeymoon in Vegas where they hired a prostitute and had a three-way. Never thought someone would be so dumb to put something like that on a work laptop. Yay. So I had to fix a friend's computer who accidentally deleted everything on it. He was recently released from the military. He wanted me to recover some videos and pictures from his deployment. This is where I found out what he did in the military. He was basically part of a cleanup crew that goes in after they fight and removes corpses, IEDs, whatever else, and X-200B. I found the photos. I wish I hadn't. There isn't videos in the offices and train stations. The guy was fired and tried. A cat killer. La gendarmerie took her away. She must have been interned. And a lot of other fucked up shit. Put porn. I found this Reddit ACC on a customer's PC. When I was about 15/16. I was the IT guy for my dad and neighbors. Anyway, at one point, I ended up upgrading one of our married neighbor's phones, but making sure all his pictures were saved. He had loads of pictures of massive American bikes, all in different folders, but in the middle of all that were a few shots of some random woman and his best mate. There was also one of the back of a guy that I didn't instantly recognize as my neighbor, cause I've never seen his naked ass before, or since. There was also a video in there entitled My Cock for Slut, which I guess wasn't how he spoke about his wife. So yeah, I'd seen evidence that my neighbor was cheating on his wife and 3 kids.